Reingold again, and I am interviewing Natan Yaker, and today is Sunday, November 15th, 2020. So I want to start with, good afternoon. Let me hear about where your country of origin was and how your family got there, and what else you know about your grandparents and your parents living there.
Okay. I was originally born in South America, in Colombia, in the capital, Bogota. My father came from Romania in the 1918, 1920, right after the war. My grandparents obviously live in Romania. They were already during the Holocaust. They kept kids, but all the kids or their kids were able to come out. Two uncles went to New York. One aunt went to Israel, and another aunt went to New York also. So they basically survived. And the reason why they survived is because they came to either the United States or Latin America to make money to send back home. Because that was, in those days, what the Jewish kids did, like the Mexicans do today, coming into the country to help the family. And that's the reason why they all survived. They came early though. My parents, my grandparents, were in Poland. And they used to supply meat to the Polish army. So my grandfather knew a lot of people of influence in the military. And they start telling him in 1937 that the Nazis are coming. My uncle also was a businessman, and he had a bad experience with one of his employees and called him dirty Jew. The Nazis are coming to kill you. So they made the decision right then and there. This was the beginning of 1939, before the invasion of Poland. And they just took a boat and left. And that was the last boat that left Poland. The last one. After that, they didn't let them go anymore. So they were lucky, they all survived. But my grandparents from my father died in the Holocaust. So my father first came to Peru. He was 14, and he came with an uncle of his. And then from Peru, they went to Venezuela, from Venezuela to Colombia. They were just looking wherever was a better ambiance to do business. And their business were just selling schmattes in a horse carriage or in a mule, going from one house to another. My grandfather, the only way that they were allowed to come to Colombia to get the visa, it was if they were going to work in the farms. And being farmers and shopkeepers in Poland, they were allowed to come in as long as they went to a small town. They went to a town about 3 hours away from the second city, Medellin. But the Jewish community in Medellin, it wasn't very big, but like anything else, they're always trying to help the fellow Jews. They were able to get them out of that small town after 3 months. They paid the authorities. So they started in Medellin, and then they moved to Bogota. And they moved from Bogota to Medellin, depending on the situation, economical situation, or the type of business they did. And that's about.
So that's where you were born, in Bogota?
Correct. I was born in Bogota, and then my parents moved to Medellin. So I grew up in Medellin, which is very infamous, obviously, for the drug cartel.
Right.
But it's good now. Then I went to school there. We were about 1,000 Jews. The synagogue was conservative, but we didn't really have a very strong teaching. We did bar mitzvah. We all did bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. But after that, you didn't have that much religion, education. But we started going to the synagogue. We all fast. We kept the holidays. We kept the Shabbat. Mm-hmm. And then I went to medical school there in Medellin. And when I finished, it was Vietnam. So there were a lot of need for doctors in the States. And I remember somebody from Harvard, history professor, was a doctor, came to recruit doctors in Colombia to be brought here. So they just recruit the first 20 of each one of these schools and convince us. And the majority of us came to America. And then we just stay here.
What city did you come to first?
I came to Miami first. I did an internship there because I couldn't speak English. I still cannot speak perfect, according to my wife, but I can
understand.
See? Okay.
Yeah.
And then from Miami, I went to Albert Einstein in New York. And I did general surgery first, and then I did three more years of plastic surgery. I met Rachel when I was in training, doing my plastic surgery training, and then in a blind date. And then my daughter was born in 76. 77, 78, we came down here.
And I had asked your wife if you had considered other cities, and she said yes. So tell me about that. What was that like, trying to decide on where to go?
Well, it all depends on where we have friends or relatives. So my first choice was Miami. Obviously, coming from Colombia, there were a lot of Latins there. I went down there to visit, and there were too many plastic surgeons for my taste, and the malpractice was very high as compared with other areas like Dallas and Phoenix. So then we looked into Phoenix. A good friend of mine was there. I liked the idea of Phoenix. But then Rachel's brother lived in Dallas, and I had a cousin, a pediatrician, living in Dallas too. So when we came to visit Dallas, we just liked it. My cousin said that the whole year is beautiful. It was September. So he told me the whole year is like this. So obviously he was trying to get me here. So we decided to come down. Plus there was a lot of Spanish community, and I knew that would be helpful for my business.
Did you know anybody else here besides your cousin and Rachel's brother when you moved here?
Nobody.
Nobody else. Okay.
Nobody. We just came and made a decision and start going.
And you set up your own practice right away?
Yes. Yes. I wanted to go to Plano because it was, I could tell there was going to be something. And there was only one plastic surgeon out there, another Jewish guy. But the road between Campbell and Plano Parkway was Stony Road. There was not even, Coit, yeah. Between Campbell and, yeah. So Rachel said, we're coming to New York and we have to drive in Stones. So I stayed in Richardson, in Arapahoe and Floyd. There was a bunch of Jewish pediatricians there that my cousin knew. So they didn't have space. Even Plano didn't have any space for doctors. It was just being developed. So I got an office, 650 square feet. And I was able to put there 3 little examining rooms and small operating room. And a couple of years later, some of my neighbors moved. So then I took over and the practice grew that way.
When you first came here, what organizations or what things did you get involved in? What hobbies or what professional groups, or any, if any?
Well, when you're a plastic surgeon and you have a family and you don't know nobody, all you do is work. You work 7 days a week. So we joined the JCC and we joined the synagogue, but I personally didn't have too many activities because of that. And it takes long time to build up a practice, especially when you're a foreigner and you don't know anybody. So I didn't know where the income was going to come from. So it probably took me about 15, 20 years to build the big practice. And then I started enjoying life a little bit more. But pretty much what Rachel told you, JCC and the synagogue. And the federation, obviously. We always have been very strong supporters of the synagogue and the federation. You know how the synagogue, we are in the rabbi's monthly donations. He's a great guy, so we support him. This is for
do you still have any family left in Colombia? And if so, do you ever get to visit them?
I have very little. My family, because during the drug war problems, they all moved to Israel about 25 years ago. So my sister, my mother, and my brother, with their families, they moved down there. Eventually, my mother died about 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But my brother's still there, and my sister. My sister has a daughter who has 5 boys. They're all going to the army, 2 of them already. My brother had 4 kids, boys. All of them went to the army. So we contributed, being foreigners, but we went to Israel and we got them. They all, thank God, survived the wars.
Have they been here to visit? Any of them?
Yes. The kids, actually, those are my nephews, my grandnephews. Every year they come and visit. This year they couldn't come because of the COVID. But yes, and we go to Israel every couple of years. To Colombia, we didn't go for about 20 years because of the situation. But in the last 10 years, we've been there twice. And a lot of fun. It's very safe today. A lot of foreign investments. Mm-hmm. Cartagena is a beautiful place in the coast. That's about the times we have gone.
Okay. Tell us about some kind of work or a project that you have done that's very important and memorable to you that you've accomplished in your life.
In my profession?
Sure.
Okay. Well, basically, what I enjoy the most is taking care of young kids who have deformed noses, sore ears, or faces, cleft palates, and then you make them normal again. It's to me the best accomplishment I've done, or including breast reduction in young girls. That to me is my biggest accomplishment. The way I have taken care of my patients through the years.
Yes.
Of course, my kids and my marriage, those are great accomplishments too.
That's a great accomplishment, yes. So we like to hear from people, just briefly, what was Dallas like when you got here and how do you see it now?
Sure. When Dallas was in the 70s, late 70s, was basically a small cow town. When we were in New York, they prepared us. This is what the hell are you going to do there? You're going to have to be riding in horses and use boots. That's about it. And it wasn't like that. Dallas was a little more cosmopolitan than what we thought. But the growth has been incredible, incredible. So explosive. You got to Plano, Frisco, then you got to South Lake. It's just really huge difference. From the point of view, Judaism also has increased tremendously. There's a lot of Orthodox synagogues, a lot of Reform synagogues. It has grown a lot. I think in those days, between Fort Worth and Dallas, we were maybe about 60,000 Jews. It has grown a lot.
Right. Have you joined any organizations more recently? I know you didn't have time early on when you got here, but have you joined anything since?
Not that I think of. We just continue with the JCC and the Federation and the synagogue. Chabad. And as I said, we're very strong supporters of Chabad.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. And so I love this question. Do you have any role models in your life?
Well, yes, I do. The live one that I have is Natan Yaker. I think he's a very smart man. He's a good orator. He has taken Israel at the very difficult times and he's been able to keep it going and going. And look what happened now. We're making peace with the Arabs that we haven't had in 2,000 years. So yes, I mean, he's controversial, but to me, the guy's a hero. As a good hero as his brother who got killed in Tabi. And a dead one, always I have a lot of respect for Teddy Roosevelt. Again, because his accomplishments, because he was a no-nonsense man, and he had tremendously this country. Just the fact that he created all the national parks, that he kicked out the Spanish from Cuba. He gave us the Panama Canal, so that's my role model.
Very good. Do you have any regrets at all leaving Colombia and coming here to the United States?
None. None. I think America has taken good care of us. You can profess your religion in here. You could profess it down there too, but there was no Jewish guy down there. It was very small where we grew up. So no, I don't have any regrets.
Okay, that's good. Is there anything else, Dr. Yaker, that you'd like to add to the interview?
No, pretty much. I think you guys are doing the right things. It's a nice thing to keep this for the future, for future generations. I imagine that's what you're doing it for.
Yes, right. Well, it'll be on our website, and you'll get a copy of this. So, certainly can pass it down and show it to your family. And that's one of the good things about it. So thank you very much. We appreciate your time today.
For the grandkids, hopefully one day they will know us better. Very good. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for doing it on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, bye.